Hi, Paul Seabridge here. So I've been asked to provide some content for business owners in terms of how they can prepare their company for Brexit. So I don't know about you, but I'm fed up of hearing about Brexit, and this video is not to share my political views, but how you can prepare your business for Brexit. And I guess the outcomes of Brexit that are potentially going to happen is they're either going to have a hard Brexit, a soft Brexit, or a no-deal Brexit. So irrespective of what the eventual Brexit looks like, the first thing for us to look at is sort of trading within Europe post-Brexit. And this video is also perhaps relevant to the legal infrastructure. So, for example, the FTSB, who are basically the sort of regulatory safety body in the US in regards to airlines, they're concerned that when the UK leaves the EU, it will no longer be covered by the safety regulations that we have to sign up to be able to operate as an airline to the US. So technically, when we leave, we will be stop able to fly to the US, and all flights will be grounded, which is obvious bullshit. That's not going to happen. But to protect against it, you could open an EU subsidiary or EU company, if you're an airline, for example. But anyway, back to trade. If you trade only with customers in the UK, then this video really isn't relevant to you. But for those of you that are listening to this that do trade with customers in Europe, the European single market is the world's largest economy. Companies inside it have got unrestricted access to 500 million consumers, making them far more attractive to foreign investors. So the single market is based on the four freedoms: free movement of people, goods, services and money as easily across the continent as inside any one of the member countries. So EU leaders have repeatedly stressed that access to the single market is conditional on the free movement of labour, and as immigration became such a hotly contested issue during the EU referendum, this free movement of labour appears to be off the table. So the UK is perhaps leaning towards a more hard Brexit. Now, if you're planning to set up or already have a business within the EU, then a hard Brexit will certainly damage your opportunities to sell freely to over 500 million Europeans. So one way to Brexit-proof your business is to open a foreign legal entity in an EU country. Now, we've already seen major European cities like Paris and Berlin target, say, fintech companies looking to move their headquarters from London to avoid such a scenario, and Dublin has been mooted as another strong option. So if you're a business owner that only sells to locals or within the UK, then having an EU legal entity doesn't really make any sense for you. And the same for corporate FTSE 100 companies who already have legal entities across several global cities, not just in Europe. It's actually pretty straightforward to set up a company in Europe, where you would set one up will be really dependent upon you. So, for example, a lot of my own business interests are registered in Cyprus because Cyprus has got very similar legal frameworks to that of the UK. Corporation tax is much lower there, and I also spend a lot of time there myself, so it makes sense for me to have a business interest registered in Cyprus. Now, for UK companies that do decide to create an EU subsidiary or legal entity, then the next question is which one of the 27 EU nations should you consider setting up? So for most companies, business considerations will be more important than pure tax efficiency. So I guess you need to look for an ecosystem where it will support your needs. So locating in a country with a cluster of similar businesses can be prudent, as this ensures a pool of available talent and a hospitable regulatory environment. And whilst tax may not be the prime concern, it should still play some role in the choice. I mean, the absolute cost of the tax bill will vary widely, with 12.5% corporate tax rate in Ireland versus 33% in France. So also individual levels of income tax and social security payments will also be perhaps an important consideration for relocation. So I guess a good place to start would be to look at the tax, legal and regulatory pros and cons of different member states and apply those to your business. So for example, if you sell more products or services to, say, Germany, for example, which is actually the biggest trading partner within the EU to the UK, then you might consider that Germany would make sense to set up a subsidiary or a legal entity. I mean, in terms of sort of countries where there is a sort of trade deficit, so basically we sell them more products than we buy from them, it's Germany, followed by Spain, followed by the Netherlands, followed by Belgium, then followed by Poland. And the only countries where the UK sells more to member countries than we actually buy from them is Malta, Denmark, Sweden, and Ireland. So, what I'd like to introduce you to in terms of a country to perhaps consider relocating or certainly having a subsidiary or legal entity would be Estonia. Now, Estonia is a full member of the European Union, and it's got a very advanced digital infrastructure, meaning that you can manage your business without really setting foot in the country. And it has what's called an e-residency program. So what Estonia does is it enables you to freely sell your products and services to other Europeans living within EU borders by being based in Estonia as an e-resident. So simply put, by being an e-resident and starting an Estonian business, you'll always have full access to the European single market. The small Northern European nation of Estonia became the first country in the world to offer digital residency in 2014. So that means that anyone can base their finances and business there, no matter which countries they live and work in. Here you can sell your products and services freely within the EU, whilst maintaining your company at a fraction of the cost it would if you were paying a UK accountant to do, for example. So like all companies, you'll need to ensure you meet legal, regulatory and financial requirements, for example, paying your company taxes. Corporation tax in Estonia is quite fair and quite simple. I mean, basically you pay a flat rate of 20% on distributed profits, but absolutely nothing on profits you decide to reinvest back in the company. E-residents will still need to pay personal income tax in the country where they do work. Because of Estonia's digital records, the UK government can determine how much tax is owed. So think about opening a subsidiary or separate business in a EU member is one way to perhaps protect against trade.